This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net for the closing markets. But first, it is a discussion with Robby Meeker of Wyffels Hybrids as we talk about the 2025 growing season and start to think ahead to next year.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here today at the Wyffels Hybrids exhibit at the National Association of Farm Broadcasting Convention, and I'm joined by Robby Meeker with Wyffels. Robby, could you tell me your role within the organization, please?
Yeah, so I'm an agronomy manager based out of Central Illinois. I cover the eastern half of Illinois, but excited to work on the agronomy team here at Wyffels.
So, Robby, when I think back to this year, kind of the theme that we've been talking about really as we've been wrapping up harvest and gotten to the finish line is this was the year for disease pressure. Was that the case kind of across the board in the Midwest, or was that more specific to Iowa?
Yeah, I think it was a general statement across the board, pretty much a general statement. I would say the eastern half of Illinois, we kind of dodged a bullet a little bit. I think about the Champaign, Illinois area, we were behind on rainfall year over year. I had one grower that was under 6 inches of total rainfall for the total growing season, but he had really good corn crop, but he also had minimal disease for the year. So, yeah, it's kind of a tale of two stories a little bit. But anywhere that got rainfall definitely had to battle southern rust.
And that was the case certainly in Iowa. I mean, everywhere we went, farmers wanted to talk about southern rust. That was the theme throughout the summer. How did Wyffels stand up to southern rust out of the bag?
Yeah, I think I would just say that nobody is bulletproof when it comes to southern rust, right? We have hybrids that are really strong, that kind of rose to the top. We also have hybrids that are average and then some that are below average when it comes to southern rust. Southern rust for us, Wyffels being corn only and corn belt focused in Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota mainly. It's a very opportunistic thing to be able to get ratings for, right? So we have to have the right growing season to do so. We were able to get a lot of ratings this year, but it's something that we don't normally get most years.
And that's a great point. This isn't a yearly thing we can count on with southern rust. It doesn't overwinter in Iowa. If it gets too cold, it's going to go away, obviously. So what is the takeaway then going forward? Do you plan on southern rust every year going forward, or is it just a case of having that plan because it could be there in your field?
Yeah, I don't think it's something we can plan on every year, but we also have to learn from 2025 what we can too, right? We know that we had a lot of humidity, we had a lot of rainfall, we had a lot of hot nights that brought the southern rust forth this year. Also, we had a warmer south weather in the Delta and Texas in February and March that allowed spores to get going earlier, blew north earlier into the season. Shoot, I found it in Central Illinois on July 16th. Typically, we're finding southern rust on Labor Day, not the 4th of July, right? So that's what led to the severity of the disease this year.
And so the big takeaway from this year is, yes, we learned some lessons, including with southern rust, but it's not something that we count on every single year. And we can't count on every year being like this year because it's not going to be. I mean, the disease pressure was very heavy this year.
Yeah, I was listening to some data. The odds of a hybrid repeating itself as a plot winner are about 5% year over year. So it's important to think about that and not only look at this year's plots or this year what happened on your farm. We have to think back multi-years and take a multi-year approach as we make a plan for 26.
So speaking of that, Robby, making that plan for 2026, which we're of course doing here at the end of the harvest season, what's the most important thing that Iowa growers should be thinking about?
I think it's planning the diversity of a package, right? Something we do at Wyffels is we like to publish our yield component analysis, so how hybrids build their yield based off of the different growing seasons that's dealt. There's going to be years like 2024 where we get a really good finish and a really good grain fill period, and you're going to want those kernel flex hybrids on your farm. This year, those didn't perform so well. 24, they did. So I think we got to build that package, take a little bit from 25, but also think back to 24 and 23 and plan for the future based off of that.
And Wyffels, as an independent company, we've seen that commitment to the individual farmer, working together with the farmer. We've also seen that commitment to the state of Iowa. I think about the new distribution facility in Ames, showing that Wyffels is invested in the state.
13 years of consecutive growth, and we plan to continue that moving forward. And Ames is a perfect testament to that, right? We plan to grow, we plan to keep expanding, and I think the Ames facility allows us to do that.
So that continuous growth, you have seen that throughout the years in the state of Iowa specifically?
13 years as a company as a whole.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Robby, is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa viewers know about when it comes to anything you're working on at Wyffels or anything you're excited about?
Yeah, I think our agronomy team does a really good job of putting forth good agronomic information. I'd encourage growers to go to our Wyffels.com website, land in the agronomy tab, and look at a lot of the resources we look out. We're happy to share, and we're happy for them to be able to utilize our podcasts and our different agronomic topics on that landing page.
He is Robby Meeker with Wyffels Hybrids, an agronomy manager. Robby, thanks so much for the conversation here today. Really appreciate it. And have a great rest of the NAFB convention.
You as well.
Thank you to Robby Meeker of Wyffels Hybrids for joining today's show. It is time now for our closing markets, and I'm joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. Ethan, what did we see in the trade in the grains today?
Yeah, seeing a little bit of a weaker tone to end today. Had March corn down 6, May down 7. Soybeans held in there for most of the morning session. Last hour or so in the afternoon really sold off. Had January down about 9 cents or so across the board. Wheat market down about 2-3 cents, still holding on to the premium it made yesterday after some comments from Russia's president adding some geopolitical risk back into the corn and wheat market, excuse me.
So today, Ethan, was it more or less just that headline running out of steam after those comments yesterday from President Putin of Russia, talking basically about shutting down those ports from Ukrainian grain moving if they didn't stop attacking what he was asking them to? And then we saw that price movement yesterday. Did it just run out of steam here today?
I think it did, yeah. March corn just can't get above that 200-day moving average consistently. Seems like it goes above that 200-day, 1 or 2 trading sessions, and then comes right back down below. Traded below it today. Found some pretty good resistance at 450 March futures. That just put the corn market on the defensive side today, and that had wheat market down as well.
And then on the soybean side, something I was talking about with Jim McCormick of agmarket.net this morning was that deal with China still not official. We had heard from Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent going into Thanksgiving. They wanted to have that deal done by Thanksgiving. That was kind of the target date. Didn't happen. There's still no official deal yet.
There isn't. No deal has been signed, and Secretary Bessent came out today too, reinstating that he believes China will purchase the 12 million metric tons of soybeans by February 2026. Still stating some confidence in that deal, but seems like that deadline possibly getting pushed back a little bit. But seems like the White House still believes that China will continue to purchase that 12 million metric tons. 8 a.m. flash sales today. No flash sales for a third consecutive day, I believe. So the market's going to continue to pay attention around that 8 o'clock deadline of seeing, okay, do we get any potential flash sales today from China?
What happened on the livestock side of the trade today?
Yeah, livestock side today, a little bit of a different story. Have some green on the screen there. Live cattle February finished up $1, leading the way for the live cattle market. Feeder cattle up $1.87 to $2 across the board there. Live and feeder cattle continue to trade above that 20-day moving average. Still trying to find some life, trying to get up to that 100-day moving average as well. Kind of in the middle of no man's land right now. Still have a pretty good support line from the lows, so just market's trying to pay attention to any headline-driven news right now.
Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. What is the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yeah, give us a call here in Bloomington Normal, 1-800-779-1515. Visit us online, agmarket.net. Test our MyFarm software or get a hold of our intel.
Ethan, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you to Ethan Robson of agmarket.net for joining today's show. Let's take a look at the closing market numbers, which can be found anytime under the Markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. March corn closes down 6.5 at 443.5. January soybeans down 9 cents at 11.15 3/4. January soybean meal down 30 cents at 3.1130. January soybean oil down $1.01 at 51.67. Chicago wheat down 2 3/4 at 5.38 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 11 cents at $5.82. Kansas City hard red wheat down 2.5 at $5.21 even. March oats up 2 1/4 at $3.17.5. On the Merc, December live cattle up 48 cents at $218.95. January feeder cattle up $1.98 at $331.85. December lean hogs up 5 cents at $80.55. December pork cutout up $1.28 at $94.50. Class 3 milk up 16 cents at $15.93. That wraps up our market coverage for today and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com, including all of our podcasts, such as the daily Iowa Ag Matters podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, you've been watching Ag Matters PM.